Welcome back to the Advanced Swimming Performance Podcast, sponsored by Commit Swimming, the smartest workout log. Just type a set and Commit instantly calculates the data for you. To learn more, visit commitswimming.com. John and I highly recommend it. I am joined here today with John Mullen from Swimming Science and from Core Physical Therapy, correct?
You got it. Yep. Based out of Santa Clara here. How you doing today, Jenny?
Good, and I am Jenny Brozina. I am here from Aqueous, and today I'm in the greater Philadelphia area.
Oh, nice. How's the weather there?
Weather's not too bad. It's good to be back in this area. I did live here for about 10 years, so it's great to catch up with some old coaches, old friends. I'm super stoked to be here for a little bit of time.
Well, it sounds like a good time. So what are we talking about here today?
Today we're talking about hypoxic training, and before we get into it, I wanted to share a story from a coach that I spoke with yesterday. I want to get your opinion on it before we get into it.
All right.
And I didn't get any permission. They have no idea that I'm saying this, so we're going to keep it all under wraps. But they had a swimmer, and this swimmer was very instrumental to the team and very competitive, and it turned out experienced a lot of injuries, and from those injuries started having a lot of mental setbacks. And now we have a really high, what we consider a fear avoidance factor, right? Mm-hmm. This swimmer is now going through fear of letting the team down, fear of having issues losing friends, fear of getting hurt again. And I listened to this story, and we had a really great chat about it. And I figure that this is definitely something that I hear time and again, and I know it's a struggle for coaches about how to break through this. I know a lot of coaches experience this with a swimmer, particularly if they are highly competitive and will consider valuable to the team winning or having a successful career. So I wanted to bring this up, and I wanted to have a good chat about it and see if we can come up with something just real quick on the fly to help our coaches. Because this is definitely what we consider in the rehab world fear avoidance. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get your opinion on how we can break through that fear avoidance for some of these swimmers.
Yeah, we use two strategies here at Core. And once again, it depends where exactly they are on the injury process and where they are, how they're feeling. But, if the injury is certainly recovering, the athlete's feeling good, the pain levels are, gone to very minimal here, we like to use two common mental training techniques. One is a common thing that many people have probably heard, which is just visualization. So having an athlete visualize themselves going through a workout, being pain-free during the workout, and actually seeing themselves being successful in the practice. The other thing that we like to use is an incantation or just a repeated positive saying. With athletes that may be lacking self-confidence or just unsure of it, we'd like to have them create their own incantation, which is what we tell them to create 3 short positive sentences. It can be related to the shoulder or just general health, like I'm strong, I'm powerful, no one could stop me. Or my shoulder's great, I finished strong, I'm always first to the wall, something along those lines with their own terminology. And we can have them start doing that right when they wake up in the morning, and then also during warm-up. And those are the strategies we like them to start implementing it. And all they're going to do is just repeat it over and over and over, instead of having them go through the common mental process after an injury, which is, how does it feel? How's my shoulder feeling? Is there pain there? Oh, what's that? What's that? It's more or less to distract them, build positive energy within them to put them in a better mood. And then they can also use that during stressful situations like a hard set as they're progressing to that moment. Any other techniques or thoughts on that at all?
Oh, I love that. And I hope all the coaches out there definitely take your advice, John. I think those two are great. One of the things that we recommend is that you create a support system between the athlete that's going through some challenges and a trusted team member. Because I think a lot of times, especially with our highly competitive or our college swimmers, there is that extra pressure. There might be scholarship money attached to it. There's just a lot of social factors that could also be attached to it. So have them get a buddy, have them get one trusted person that they say, okay, you're my support system, right? And come up with a plan for when you inevitably feel something, whether it's a little bit of a performance issue, whether it is some symptoms. I try to stay away from the phrasing pain a lot because I think symptoms is a little bit more specific, and it's less, oh my gosh, I'm still injured. And have that support person keep you on track. So even if you're in a position where you're like, okay, today during my heart set, even though I did, everything, I had the positive talking and everything, I might have felt, on a scale of 1 to 10, a level 3 of a symptom. And your support person is going to be like, you know what, that's okay. You're still moving in the right track. You're moving in the right direction. And I think, put all those tools together. I think a coach is pretty empowered to support an athlete through that process. So I got that story yesterday. I figured we were recording today. I wanted to bring it up. I think that's a great plan moving forward.
No, that's huge, and one where obviously getting the peers, building the teamwork. A lot of research suggests that peer evaluation is much more impactful for youth athletes than coach or parental evaluation, which is usually the common course when they're dealing with injuries and returning back. And it can just, build them once again within the team, back in with that network, which maybe they lacked a little when they were recovering, whether they just weren't going to practice due to injury or just not as involved. So that's just huge to just build it back up, get them with their peers, and getting back to having fun and doing what they want to do.
I love it. All right, let's dive into hypoxic training. Swimming Science has covered this a number of times. So give me your perspective, and let's kind of frame this conversation. What is hypoxic training for our coaches that don't necessarily know?
Well, that's already a convoluted question, but I like it. So in the swimming world, most people consider hypoxic training anything where you're doing breath holding and things like that. But really the traditional hypoxic training that swim coaches use is actually hypercapnia or hypercapnic training. So it's actually a misunderstood term that they're not using correctly. So that's really what they're trying to do is when they're actually holding their breath, they're building up the carbon dioxide from not breathing, and that's what's occurring there. A lot of coaches and specifically Bob Bowman have been voicing out more and more about the potential dangers of doing long breath holding with the amount of shallow water blackouts. So it's something to obviously for all coaches to be aware of. And the terminology, we think it's important to know the different terms, but more importantly, keeping the kids safe and trying to figure out what application is this really having towards swimming performance. I was doing a master's workout maybe 3-4 months ago, and the group I was with, we had 5 or 6 former elite swimmers better than me. And I had never had a shallow water blackout during breath holds. And, growing up way back when we'd do, 50s underwater, 75s underwater, doing all that. But almost every one of these college athletes told me that this has happened to them. And they've never had any issues, but they remember doing a long breath hold, then somehow surfacing without even remembering it, and then finding themselves either hugging the lane line or on the deck. And that just, really brought to my attention. And obviously that's just anecdotal, but it's like, this is pretty common, and that's scary because, geez, you start passing out when you're underwater. We all know that deaths occur because of this. We've read about it. So it's important that coaches do realize this does happen, and it's oftentimes swimming facilities or swim clubs, they aren't supervised well enough with lifeguards and people that are really actively watching, because you go, oh, what's going to happen at this? I mean, I remember there was a meme or a Instagram post going around during the Olympics that had a lifeguard sitting there bored out of their mind. It looked like, like, oh God, this is the most pointless thing here. But there's going to be risk there with athletes, especially ones that have maybe undiagnosed cardiomyopathies and things like that. So it's just huge that there is an awareness towards this. And during competition with elite athletes, where lifeguards probably not called upon a lot of times, but it's just huge that they're there, especially during training. If you are going to be doing some sort of breath holds, even if it's just breathing patterns, like long breathing patterns that a lot of coaches are done. So anyways, there's my rant about it all. What are your thoughts about the current practices swim coaches are doing, and is it really applicable to swimming races in your opinion?
I'm a part of that camp. I have gone through shallow blackouts, and I vividly remember when I was a younger swimmer, it certainly was not a culture part of my team that you should push yourself to that point. That certainly was not what was happening. But my own naivety mixed with environmental factors, mixed with training conditions. I remember being confused coming off of a turn, kind of wondering, oh my gosh, how did I get here? And it's absolutely a physiological response. It's not a will factor response. I think we have to get there. If someone needs to breathe, they need to breathe. And I know that that's part of the culture of swimming, is how do you push through that effectively, but how do you not get into that danger point? My big thing about this, and it goes right back to what you were just saying, what's the point of it? What are you trying to accomplish? Because the athletes that I have personally worked with that are going through some type of, and again, possibly misusing the word, hypoxic training, right? They can't even show me how to effectively do a diaphragmatic breath, let alone how to control a diaphragmatic exhale throughout a stroke cycle. If you don't even know how to do that, you don't have proper breathing mechanics, which means you should not be trying to manipulate your breathing mechanics. And that's my big stance on that, is number one, at no point are we going through any type of physiological training factors where we are attempting to deprive the body of quality oxygen flow or gas exchange. That's really what it is. That's what breathing is. And for all of our coaches without a super strong physiology background, that is everything that we're going for, is that gas exchange. How do we get quality, good oxygen into the blood? And then how do we get rid of that carbon dioxide? And when we start to manipulate that and we don't have a specific end goal, I cannot think of any end goal that warrants getting to that place. Can you?
No, and like you said, what's the specificity of it? Are they ever doing more than 20 seconds of breath holding during a race for about a 50-meter? And even that's a rare thing. So yeah, what is really the purpose of it? Obviously there's in every sport a certain amount of, you build mental strength, build character, got to push the body to the limits. Okay, I think there's smarter ways to do that if that's what route you're going to go down to, than having them try and hold their breath for long periods of time in the water. And
I will tell you a smart way to train.
Tell me.
Commit swimming.
I need to know.
As we all know, it's important to track workouts if you want to improve training. The most effective way to track workouts is by using Commit Swimming. Once you write a workout with Commit, you'll never need paper, pencil, Excel, or anything else. Not only does Commit understand swimming lingo, which is so huge, but it also puts together personalized graphs of your training history and makes it easy to share workouts with others. You can access this application on any computer, phone, or tablet. So go on to commitswimming.com and try it out.
So now I want to just get into some of the, what are some ways coaches can use breath holding, this type of training safely for them to, improve their swimmers if they want to go down this route. So one thing that, Dr. Xavier Warnos, and he's done some interviews on swimming science, and he's the leading research in this, and he's the one that's really trying to talk about, hypercapnic training versus hypoxic training. And he has brought to light some type of training called exhale hold training, where what an athlete will do is they'll actually blow out all their air and then perform up to maybe a 12.5 or a 15-meter sprint, trying to maintain that ability to be under stress where there's no oxygen in the body, but the carbon dioxide isn't building up over a long period of time, causing perhaps this lightheadedness and the passing out that we commonly see in shallow water blackouts. So that's one strategy that I think coaches could use to, if they want to see what it's like or how their athletes perform under stress of not having air or that sensation of breathlessness, doing that for short periods of time that are more commonly done in a race, holding your breath for the last 10 meters of a race to maintain your body line, not breathing for a 25 of a 50, so on and so forth. That's one potential strategy that coaches could be using, and I think it would be a safer method and obviously a more specific one.
I love that. And I think the biggest things to kind of dissect out of that, very, very short duration of time in which we are putting the body under that type of stress. And that is not a training principle that you should think, okay, well, this amount was great, so more must be better. You're putting the body in that stressful situation for a very, very short specific time period. And much like you said, we've all been in a racing situation, because again, that's what we're ultimately trying to do, is simulate that racing situation where there's just that little bit of time where we need to go completely all out. There is no time for breath. Everything is counting on just what that last 10 to 12 yards or meters is. And I think that is safe. I think that that is probably proving in the research, especially, to be more physiologically beneficial. And I think that that's great. I mean, I think that that is much safer all the way around. And even if that particular duration doesn't work for an athlete, there's a lot more wiggle room to be able to work with that. If they can't go 10 yards or meters, if they start to struggle, you're so much closer to being able to get them out of an unsafe situation from a lifeguarding standpoint. If 10 meters is too much for them, just go 5 meters, go 5 yards, and allow their body to naturally be able to take care of themselves. Or if they can't figure out how to do that, teach them a full and complete exhale to the point that they don't have any air left in their lungs. I can't tell you how oftentimes we see we're doing the underwater stroke analysis, and we're taking a look at breathing patterns, and we're not seeing a full exhale. We're seeing a very, very shallow inhale exhale. So yeah, I love that.
Yep. I think another strategy, and this is an obvious one, at least I think it is, and a lot of coaches use it, it's just, if you're thinking about holding the breath, maybe in a short course race when they're going 15 meters is where they're being stressed a lot. So doing things where they're doing repeat 25s, going to the 15-meter mark underwater, giving them some short rest on the other end. But once again, letting them get some air in their system and then get used to just doing a short distance, like I said, 15 meters at a time. I mean, it takes, 10 to 15 seconds there. And they can start to train it in that realm. And once again, building that specificity towards what's actually done in actual swimming races. And then with all these things that we talk about in training, what's the purpose? What's the reasoning? What's this connecting with? So hopefully, if you are going to be using other breathing strategies or, hypoxic, hypercapnic type of training, what is your reasoning? Can you justify the means? And this one, there is a higher risk than some of the other activities. So you really need to have that justification, at least in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I think, I think that even as you start to incorporate this, there is a way that you don't go into a full race scenario at first. I don't think you just show up on a Monday and your swimmers have never gone through any type of this training and you just say, okay, we're going to go do 10 25s and we're going to go race pace and this is how we're going to do it. Ease into it. I mean, this is part of your long-term training plan if you choose to do this and if it is safe for you and your swimmers. But yeah, I could get behind that methodology a lot more than potential shallow blackouts for sure.
There you go. Exactly. So that's what I think. Those are the two main methods for coaching application. So anything else you want to add on hypoxic training or breath hold training at all, Jenny?
Nope, I love it. Safety is better in this case.
Safety first.
Safety first. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Here as well. Okay. All right. Have a good one.
Take care.